Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for wrapping up discussion on this bill from our side of the aisle. You know, I say this bill is more outrageous than the conclusion of the Kentucky Derby that we recently saw on TV. You know, we're rounding the fourth curve, and I've heard comments like, oh, we'll put together a wish list. It's a work in progress. We're looking at the framework. We're going to be tightening up things. These are things that we are really running out of time to get a concrete plan in place so people have the idea or the ability to thoroughly understand its impacts, not only to the state and the revenues that are perceived to be received, to businesses that must traverse our highways as part of our economic engine, to the impact that if we have tolls on our highways, the loss of federal highway funds, to the everyday commuter to determine where they are, to the municipalities in which the gantries are on. I kind of went through the bill. It says many times in here about toll evasion. I didn't see what a definition of toll evasion is. That's concerning to me. If somebody's going through their daily commute and they get off of a highway because that's a stop that they're going to the grocery store or go visit a parent or on their way to school, they're not purposely evading a toll, but that's their necessary stop to get out. Is that going to be included in there? Nowhere in the bill does it mention or define what toll evasion is. But some of the things in the bill that I'll specifically speak of quickly is that once this bill is approved in its current form anyways, because that's the only thing that we have to go on, there are a lot of promises out there where bus fares and rest stations will be open, a reduction in the gas tax. We can't count on those things today. We can only count on the black and white on the piece of paper that's in front of us. So I'll limit my comments to those. The Department of Transportation will have unfettered control over what will happen with the tolls in our state. And specifically in Section 3 of the bill, it talks about that the tolls will be fixed by the department. They'll set the amount of tolls, but then the department also has the ability to change the amount of tolls that will be charged without having to come back to any type of legislative oversight. So once we adopt the bill as it currently sits, the Department of Transportation will have unilateral authority to do what they will with the consent of the federal government as far as tolling goes in the state of Connecticut, and that is concerning to me. Representative Butler mentioned that he was outraged at the price of $4 to traverse a bridge in the state of New York. Well, that could very well be the price of the state of Connecticut on multiple highways that are being proposed here in the state of Connecticut. One of the things that I saw in the bill, that there's an exemption potentially for anything that's owned by the state or leased by the state of Connecticut. Why do the state get a chance to limit their exposure to this, but we don't necessarily include municipalities in that same venue? What happens if it's an employee that has the ability to use a state-owned vehicle in their personal time? Do they get to have free access to our highways where other people don't, but they get a benefit of having a state car, so they're exempt? I don't think that is right. There's a section in the bill that has the ability to impose surcharges and premiums or additional fees for designated users, but we don't define what a designated user is. So we don't even define what those prices are. So we could really price somebody way out of the pack. We are going to create toll police on our highways that has never been done before. And what are they going to be doing? Are they going to be chasing down drivers that may not be aware that they have a toll paid, that maybe somebody used their vehicle and didn't have the toll electronic toll in place? Maybe they were on vacation. Maybe they only reside 6 months in a day here in the state of Connecticut. So it may be a matter of time if they register their car in Connecticut, but they spend the winter in another state. They didn't see the mail. So we're going to enlist the state police to help us collect this revenue. And what happens if something is found by the stop of that? We had a huge debate yesterday in the State Senate on the Trust Act, and if we're using data collected by the Department of Motor Vehicles because somebody hadn't paid their toll yet, what happens if that leads down into another provision of the law? Well, the fruits of the poisonous tree, where does that come into play in this? Is it going to be considered a legitimate stop or not? All of these questions still have to be answered. If somebody wants to contest a toll charge, we only follow the Uniform Administrative Procedure Act. Where is the due process where they can go to an impartial party to make their case? It's done all within the department, who has sole authority to make these decisions. They will be the judge, jury, and I'll say executioner of the bank account if they so deem so fit. And again, the Department of Transportation, and I'll use the word conspire. They can conspire with the Department of Motor Vehicles, because if you don't pay your toll, and you apply for a hearing before the Department of Transportation, and they don't believe you, they just say, no, you're going to pay, and in addition, here's the fee. And if you don't pay the fee, then they can notify the Department of Vehicles. So now you can't even have your car registered or renewed because of that. So I'll use the word collusion and conspiracy on this, and I don't take that lightly, because the way the bill sits is the only way that we can vote to move on this out of this committee. And while it's been around it's been through several different committees, several different versions, we are nowhere near the finish line, and that's where the most dangerous things can happen. That's why I brought the analogy of the Kentucky Derby, because nothing happened until the last 100 feet. And I'm afraid as we near our constitutional deadline of June 5th, there's going to be a lot of moving and shaking on this bill, and just beware, because while the folks may have the instant replay of CTN, there's nothing you can do about changing the outcome once it becomes law. So I'm going to be voting no. I'd urge my members to vote no on the bill before I say it's too much unaccounted for, too much work to be done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Will the Minister please call the roll?